Hey everyone, you're listening to another episode of the AER Podcast. My name's Jason Weber, and I'm your host. In this month's podcast, we have Jay Council from Amtech Leasing, someone I've worked closely with for my 9+ years at Air Equipment, and someone Julie, the owner here at Air Equipment, has worked with for 35+ years. Very good businessman, very good man, period. And he does a very good job at finding good deals and finding good interest rates for people who are looking at leasing or financing equipment. Obviously, for our customers, he does, in the finishing and spray foam industries and whatnot. But he does any other equipment too, which you'll hear about in the podcast. Pretty interesting on how he got into the industry, as usually everybody is in this industry or this line of work. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button on SoundCloud. If you want to be on the podcast, if you're in the finishing industry and you're either a vendor rep of ours or a customer of ours, future or present customer, contact me. My email is jason@air-equipment, jason@air-equipment.com, or you can give us a call at 210-223-3157 and ask for Jason. Everybody's got a cool story about how they got into the finishing industry, and that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about finding out how everybody got in the industry and kind of just telling their story. So if you want to be on the podcast, just shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'd love to have you on. Before we dive into this podcast with Jay, I got to tell you about air-equipment.com, our website. We have a fully functional online store on there with over 1,000 products. So you'll get fast shipping because we carry almost everything we sell in stock. And if we don't, most of the items we can ship direct. If you're listening to this podcast, I have a special deal for you. If you use AER Pod at checkout, the promo code AER Pod at checkout, we'll give you 10% off your first order. 10% goes a long ways in the finishing industry. So use AER Pod on your first order online and you'll get 10% off. Keep in mind that our online store, every online order over $50 has free shipping. So you'll get $10 off 10% off your order. And if you spend over $50, you also get free round shipping anywhere in the US. That's air-equipment.com, and the promo code is AER Pod, AERPOD at checkout for 10% off your first order. And now let's dive right into it. Here's Jay with Amtech Leasing on the AER Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the AER Podcast. My name's Jason Weber. I'm here today with Jay Council from Amtech Leasing. What's going on, Jay?
Not much. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Doing your first podcast.
Very first, yeah. Very first.
So if we want to dive right into it, what is your title at Amtech Leasing?
At Amtech, I am the owner or president, so haven't been, forever, but I first started as a employee, and then from there just kind of worked myself up into partnership, and then finally the owner. So now I get blamed for everything. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So how long have you been the owner of Amtech?
Oh gosh, over about 10 years now.
10 years?
Yeah. I've been doing this since about 85, something like that, but the last 10 years.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it since 1985. Just how did you get into this industry?
Well, kind of just by chance, really. We when I graduated from college, my wife and I went to Indiana, and there was a friend of mine up there that I went to college with that his parents had a business up there. He said, "Come on up, we're going to make $1 million," and of course I went up, and we went up there and spent about a year. I think we made like $4 or $5 maybe. And
just shy of $1 million.
Yeah, just a little bit short. Yeah. And then, so when we came back to Texas, I had a uncle that knew a man by the name of Jim Orcutt. They were in the Air Force together, so on and so forth. And he knew a guy that knew a guy, and so they introduced me to Jim, and from there, I started working with Jim here in San Antonio. He had a partner in Dallas. So we used to be in Dallas and San Antonio. And then those two partners eventually split up, and then Jim and I became partners over the years. And then he's retired now, so he's living in Colorado now. He's retired.
Oh, okay.
So now I get to handle everything. So
that's good.
Yeah.
So you guys specialize in equipment leasing, and what does that mean, equipment? Like what, just any type of equipment?
Yeah, really any type of business equipment, not just any equipment, but any type of business equipment. If you're in business and you use equipment from Bobcats to, of course, the spray foam equipment and all the spray equipment that you sell, but anything. We do Bobcats, we do front-end loaders, backhoes, we do trucks, we do trailers, we do all types of restaurant equipment. We do manufacturing equipment, really computer software. We do medical equipment, and really anything, really any type of business equipment. But it has to be a business. It has to be business equipment, business related. So anything you can think of, office furniture. We do a lot of refrigeration equipment, walk-in coolers, things like that. So, there's I can't even think of all the other stuff we do, but there's something new every day.
Yeah.
So,
that's a pretty good niche to get into. I guess you started off in Dallas. Did you guys just see a market here in San Antonio, and that's why you guys eventually made the jump down here? Or?
Well, actually, when I said Dallas and San Antonio, Jim had always been in San Antonio.
Okay.
And his partner was in Dallas, and they, Tony ran a company in Dallas, and then office in Dallas, and then Jim ran one here. And so we were all the same company, but I was always here in San Antonio.
Okay.
With Jim. But yeah, there is, the construction and the development and everything else going on in the San Antonio area. I mean, anywhere in Texas really is
right now it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of equipment that people are needing, and a lot of construction. And I used to do, back in the old days, just I don't know if you're too young to remember, but I don't know if you remember when everyone had those telephone systems with the glass buttons on them. You remember those? You've probably seen them in a museum or something.
Somewhere.
But, we used to do just phone systems back then. We did, because a phone system for an office of like 10 people was $20,000, $25,000 back then. Mm-hmm. And everyone was switching over from those AT&T. You had to go through AT&T, and they did your phone lines. They provided the phones. They did everything. And then everyone went to electronic key systems, and everyone was replacing their phone systems. I mean, every business, and then we did computers too. That mainly it was just phones and computers, because a computer system back then, they were crazy expensive. Mm-hmm. They were anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 to $100,000 just for a computer system.
Crazy to think about now.
Yeah, it is. It is, because now you get a couple of laptops and you got more power than you had with a $50,000 system. But then just eventually worked in all different types of equipment.
All different types.
Yeah.
So is that just from being out there and saying, hey, we need to expand our...
I think it is that, and, telephone systems
coming to you, or...
Well, after a while, we had to change, because everyone got their telephone systems, and they didn't, once they got them, they didn't need another one, really. And then the price of computers just kept coming down. And so, now I hardly do any computers, because you can get, it's a couple $1,000 deal or something, Mm-hmm. But but from that, just needing to get into other types of equipment. And really, I like the industrial type of equipment because it's, it's pretty, plain Jane. It's just like, here's a Bobcat, here's a serial number, and that's it. It's not complicated. You got this server and you got 20 workstations, you got all this other stuff. It's just as simple. Here's a Bobcat, here's a spray foam system, here's this, and so we got a lot into manufacturing and construction equipment. Yeah, a lot of that.
So you've been working with AER Equipment and Julie over there for, you said probably over 30 years now, right?
Oh, God, yeah. It's been a long time. I mean, we worked with Julie. She'll remember Jim. I think that, I don't know if she worked with Jim before she worked with me, but we just always, it's been, as long as I can remember us doing this, we've been dealing with Julie over there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that was going to be my next question is, how did that partnership come about, or was that, I guess that was before you even got there? It wasn't like you walked in one day and then y'all hit it off and y'all been doing business ever since.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. It's been so long ago. It probably, usually it happens that, I'll have a customer that either I've done business with before or has come back to me again and said, I need some more equipment. And then they'll, and I'll say, well, what do you need? Oh, I need a spray foam equipment. I'm going to buy it from AER Equipment. Mm-hmm. And then that way I get introduced to Julie, and then we do that one deal, and she sees, well, they did a pretty good job on that deal, maybe I'll call them. And then from there we just present our programs and everything, and if we do a good job on the first deal, usually we get a second deal, and do a good job on that one, we get more deals after that. So It's kind of back then it was just kind of if it was just a relationship that, we worked well with her and she worked well with us, and the customer, we liked the customers and the equipment, and everything has worked out really good.
Okay.
It has been. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't gone anywhere else, so.
Yeah. And now I'm doing deals with Julie and with you and with Lee and more deals you can, no more than 10 a day, but at least send all the deals you can.
You'd be mad if we sent you 11 every day, right?
I know. Yeah. I want to work hard, but not that hard. Yeah.
So one of the questions I get a lot when they ask us if we offer financing, and I give them your information, is how's the process work on getting approved, and then how does the finance process work? What exactly do you do the financing yourself, or do you sell the loan off to banks? This is one of the questions that we always get.
Right. Well, just about every loan that you deal with anybody except the bank directly is going to be sold to a bank, because the bank's going to finance all the deals. So one way or the other, whether you go through a broker, if you go through another lender, they'll go through a bank. It'll eventually get to the bank. But the process is really pretty simple. It used to be a lot more complicated. They used to require more information, but with the internet and as much information's on the internet and it's available to us to look up and research, that it makes it really pretty easy. Let's say, for example, a guy comes into your place and wants a spray foam system. Really, the only information I need is what's on it's a real simple application, but I don't even need to get the application. I can get the information over the phone from him, or he can fill out the application and email it to me, or they can give it to you and you can give it to me. And but we've simplified it to where really under 50,000, I would say, maybe even under 75,000, they would need their company name, how long they've been in business, what type of business they do, and then the owner's name, address, and social security number. And then I get their EIN number. And then we do some research. My wife, Sissy, she does all the back scene research. She does all the credit checking. She puts all the packages together. She puts all the credit information together and presents it as well as possible. Some deals are really good and some deals are tough, and you have to kind of help them along a little bit. But and then she'll, submit it to the bank and get it approved, and then we kind of go from there. But it's really the process for the customer should be really simple. That's the main thing. You want the customer to come in and not have to go through a long application process or a long, waiting period or anything like that. So we try to get deals approved within 24 hours, and we try to do it with the minimum amount of information.
Right.
So, a lot of times I don't even take an application. I just take the information over the phone, and because I deal a lot with with your customers or contractors, and I deal a lot with other contractors for Bobcats and so forth, and they don't have time to go back home, check their email, print out an application, fill it out, scan it, send it back. They don't really have that time to do that. And if I waited for them to do that, I probably never would get the application half the time. So I just get the information over the phone, make it real simple and easy for them. They can give me the information while they're driving to their next job or whatever, and then we get it approved for them. We do everything by email, or if they're here in town, I'll go out and sign it up myself. But if not, we can just send all the documents by email. They can sign them, send them back. Makes it real simple. They can make their payment online, everything.
Yeah.
So it's become a real simple process for the customer.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah,
we all know the customer's always right. So.
Yeah, the customer's always right. The customer's always right. Yeah. It's real simple for them, and because I've found that they're so busy these days, especially in construction. They're so busy. They're on the job site all the time.
Be on the job from 6 in the morning to 9 p.m. 10 at night.
Yeah, and if you need them to do something with a computer, it's most of them don't have the computer with them. They're not going to make the phone a hotspot and print out, and they don't have a printer in their truck. So you have to wait till they get home, or wait till they have access to that, and that's just, it takes too long.
Well, like we were talking before we started recording, when you get home, the mood changes. You don't want to be in work mode anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to be in work mode anymore.
So the last thing you want to do is sign paperwork when you get home from a 15-hour day.
Exactly. And we try to make the process. We try to make real simple, and we have all different types of programs too. We have if people want lease financing or straight financing. There's the only difference is that. Lease finance, we used to do a lease purchase with 10% purchase option or something like that. But now we just do all of our purchase options are $1 purchase options. So if the customer does a lease purchase, they pay, let's say they do a 2-year term, they pay their 24 monthly payments, and the equipment's theirs at the end. And it's the same with the equipment finance agreement. They pay their 24 monthly payments, and the equipment's theirs. The only difference is the accounting for it, how they account for the payment for their taxes. For the lease, you can write off 100% of the monthly payment. For the equipment finance agreement, you'll have to depreciate the equipment and expense the interest, all that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just kind of leave that up to the accountants.
Because what would be the benefit of going one way versus the other?
Well, a lot of people do lease purchase because let's say if you get a Bobcat and you put it on a 2-year term, well, you can write that whole expense off in 2 years. Put it on a 1-year term, you could write that whole expense off in 1 year. Whereas you would, from my understanding, you would have to, if you do an equipment finance agreement, you would depreciate that equipment out over the life of the equipment. So it might be a 5-year depreciation schedule, it might be 7-year, depending on the type of equipment. So it's just packing more tax write-offs in a shorter period of time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Just basically whatever they want to do.
Right.
They want the tax write-off for it right up front or for the long period of time.
Right. Okay. And then we do some things called fair market value leases, but these are only on like larger equipment for only a few customers, medical laboratories and things like that want the smaller monthly payments, and they want a buyout at the end, a larger buyout at the end, because you don't have to buy it at the end. You can give it back, and what they usually do is just give the equipment back, and they get a new piece of equipment.
Right.
So same principle like leasing your car. You know, if you're always going to have a monthly payment, why not get the lowest monthly payment?
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't even know if there is much competition here. I'm sure there is with all the construction and everything, but what kind of sets Amtech apart from the competition? Why should customers go to
us?
You?
Well, I think, you know, a lot of the larger companies, we're a small company, so a lot of the larger companies, they just go either by credit matrix of some sort, or they go by credit scores, or they take a bunch of factors and they put it in a scoring system, and they say, well, this customer came out with a 324, so that's too low, we're turning them down. And most customers don't fit into that mold. You know, if you just had all these construction guys that, you know, they work their butts off, and they you know, there's ups and downs in the industry all the time. You know, sometimes they're rolling in jobs, and sometimes it's really short. Sometimes people on different jobs ride them for 30 days, 60 days, you know, before paying them. And so sometimes their credit gets a little, you know, banged up. So I think what we do differently is that anyone can, if you've been in business forever, you got good credit, anyone can get those deals done at a great rate. We can get them done at a great rate, you know, and the rates are fantastic for those customers. But most of the customers don't have that. Most of the customers, maybe they're less time in business, maybe their personal credit has taken a few hits here and there, maybe they're in an industry that has seen, you know, bad times, and now they're coming out of it or something. So I think what we do that other people don't do is take the time to work the deal. You know, we don't put it in some matrix, and if it doesn't score right, then it's automatically kicked out of the system. We'll look at the deal and we'll say, okay, what are the good parts on it? What needs help? You know, does this customer, maybe if we got a co-signer with them, maybe that would help them get the deal done. Maybe if we put a little bit more down, maybe, or just something as simple as getting explanations. You know, why were you late? You know, what happened with this thing on your credit? And just being able to provide those explanations, a lot of times we'll get the deal done just because, well, that makes sense. You know, he had this job and it went bad, and so he couldn't pay this account for 2 months, but then he got paid and you took care of it after that, and things like that. I think when you apply online to some of the bigger companies, you know, you apply online, you find out right away if you're approved or not. But if you're not approved, there's not much you can do about it. You can just go, you know, that's the way it is. They're not gonna call you up and say, hey, how come this happened, or how come, what can we do to help you, or is there someone else that can sign with you to help you? You know, so I think that's what we do. We try to get every deal approved. You know, I mean, it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. We're not going to do it.
Right.
But if it's just a, you know, every business has its up and down. So, you know, you have to understand that a lot of there's going to be a lot of challenges, you know, and yeah, now times are good and construction's good, but then, you know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you know, it wasn't so good.
We saw it with the oil field.
Yeah.
I mean, it was booming. That was my first 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, you know, this is how it's going to be all the time.
Yeah.
And then what was it, 12, 13, just took a nosedive. And I mean, I think just started the market. It just started recovering maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And, you know, if you're in construction, I mean, you don't get to say whether, you know, you're going to build 10 more houses or not. You just have to kind of wait till someone starts developing a subdivision or something. You know, you can't just go out and make work for yourself. So it's so I think that's the main thing. We just kind of look at each deal and try to figure out how to get it done.
Each deal on an individual basis, you don't just look at a credit score.
Right.
You talk to the individual and see why that they're in the situation they're in and how we can get the deal done.
Right,
basically.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And that's, I think that helps most of these guys out the most, just because they don't, they need the equipment. They don't make money unless they have the equipment.
Right.
Yeah, so they have to get the equipment. And I don't make money unless I get his deal approved.
Yeah.
So,
I've personally seen it where a business will be kind of struggling, but if they buy this $10,000 piece of equipment, it could lead to like a multi-million-dollar deal that they could be doing, and then everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So, something like that, you wouldn't want to look at what's going on right now. You'd want to look at the big picture.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And I hear that all the time from customers. If I just get this piece of equipment, I've got the jobs lined up. I just don't have the equipment, and whether it's an excavator or a bobcat, or I've heard it from a lot of your customers too. I need this spray foam. Oops, sorry about
That's
that.
all right.
I need this spray foam equipment because, I have a contractor that's going to give me all these houses to work on, but I need the equipment. I can't do it unless I have the equipment. So, yeah, sometimes it's a matter of if they get the job or not, if they get the equipment,
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of equipment, I know we kind of talked about this, but is there any like crazy piece of equipment or something real interesting that someone's looked to finance maybe out there? Or
I was
you can remember?
I was trying to think of what the craziest piece of equipment was, but
not crazy, but there's something really that was really interesting to you.
Well, I know a lot of people want me to. They always ask me if I can finance boats for them. I said, "Well, is that a business boat?" And it's not a.
Yeah.
No, it's just a ski boat.
Take clients out on fishing.
Yeah. And so just I don't know. I was trying to think of some. I mean, I find out different types of equipment all the time that I never knew existed. Like today, the guy asked me. There's a machine that actually he needed a railroad spike pulling machine. And I guess they make a machine just for that. He said he's been doing it by hand, and he needs this machine to get pull out the railroad spikes. So I don't know. There's just all types of different weird equipment that we do. That we're doing food trucks now, and now everyone wants.
Oh wow! Yeah,
everyone wants to get a food truck, and so some of those deals are kind of crazy because most of the time it's. Sometimes it's a established restaurant or something that wants to extend their business by getting a food truck, but a lot of times it's a guy that, thinks that he's a good cook at home, so now he's going to get a food truck and go out and make $1 million. But some of those deals are kind of strange, but I can't think of anything else.
No?
Yeah,
no. So if something comes up that you're, like, say, the railroad spike puller, do you go and research that equipment before you?
Yeah, that's what
because you'd want to know what you're getting into, right?
right, exactly, and what it's worth if the deal goes bad. Can we resell it, or can anyone else in this area use it? And the banks require that too. They require that they understand what it is,
right.
and they require that the people that are selling it, can warranty it or back it up or authorize sellers of it. So we will have to research the equipment. We'll have to research the vendor and present that to the bank along with the deal, just to show that yes, he's buying it from a good vendor or reputable vendor, and then the equipment that he's buying has value to it. Because a lot of restaurant equipment and stuff like that is just it loses its value after just a couple of years, ice machines, things like that. So, but yeah, we have a lot of strange equipment.
I actually remember a deal you and I did one together a few years ago, where the guys from the funeral home. Do you remember that?
Oh,
and they were doing it. It was a DBA under a funeral home, and they were doing a spray foam company.
Right.
And we were trying to work together and trying to get the bank to understand why a funeral home would need spray foam equipment.
Right. I think
we got the deal done, but I remember we had to work on it for a couple weeks.
I remember that deal now. That's right. I forgot about that. I was trying to think of what they were doing with the spray foam equipment at a funeral home.
was a different company, but it was a DBA under that funeral home. So they were doing houses. They were a contractor.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know. It was a weird deal.
Yeah,
but I
remember that. I just told the bank that they were just, spray foaming the corpses, when they
if you wanted to look real buff.
Yeah, you spray foam little suit on them or something, But
I remember that one. And then I think we had one a couple months ago, someone that was a farmer too.
Oh, is that the one where he needed to spray the walls or
get
in his, what was he doing? I can't even remember.
He was spraying, so they were out in West Texas. They were spraying their all their barns to keep the temperature down.
That's what it was. Yeah. Because they stored.
But I mean, I get why the bank would be like, this guy's a farmer. Why would he need spray foam insulation equipment?
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's just, I didn't know. And that's where I have to learn more about the equipment you sell and everything, just so I can explain it to the bank what this is used for. Because obviously there's a lot of uses for the equipment you sell.
It's actually pretty crazy. If you go to sprayfoam.com, they just, in their magazine, and I can send you the article, they just wrote an article about out in California and the West Coast, all these grow houses for marijuana are using them, and they're spraying their grow houses to keep the temperature at a certain temperature.
They just spray the walls and the ceilings and everything?
Yeah, they just spray like a real little thin layer of it.
Wow.
It's pretty wild. You would have never thought of that. But they're I'll send you a picture of it. The magazine, we just got it like last month. Yeah. It's got a big old pot leaf on the front, and that's the cover of the magazine. Oh. And it's wild to see the industry. Yeah. So many uses for spray foam.
Oh, yeah.
That's just part of what we do. We do sandblasts. We do paint, too. But I think the majority of deals we do with you are the spray foam just because they're the more expensive deals.
Right. And I did call Lee the other day, and I asked him if you had a certain compressor because there was a customer that was looking. He needed a big compressor, like a 185 or something like that. And because he was... and I've never heard of this before, but he was taking what was like a sandblaster, but he was using glass in it or something.
Oh, yeah, glass beads probably.
Is it? Yeah, and taking paint and stuff off of cars and machinery and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before, but I guess that can be done, right?
Yeah.
What I mean, when you say glass beads,
they're literally little beads of glass.
Really? Mm-hmm. And that just strips paint off.
It's a little less abrasive than sand. Doesn't leave as much scarring.
Yeah.
So that's why people use it on fine finish stuff like that.
Huh.
But
yeah, that's what he was saying.
All right. See, you were worried about filling up 30 minutes. We're already at 29 right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is there anything else you wanted to throw in there before we sign off?
No, not really. Just, tell Lee and Julie and yourself, 10 deals a day. I mean, that's
10
fine.
deals. That's the max. Cap it off at 10.
Yeah, please. Yeah. We'll keep us busy, please.
All right, Jay. Well, I appreciate you joining me. And before we sign off, where can they reach you at?
They reach us here in San Antonio, Live Oak area, right off the Topper Wine. We're at 210-349-6274, or you could go to www.amtechleasing.com. Is our website. You could send us a message there. You could apply online there. Or just give us a call. Give us a call if you have any equipment that needs financing, or if you're selling equipment that needs financing and your customers need financing, just give us a call. We'll be happy to help.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
We'll see you guys next month. Thanks for listening.
That can dry your eye in a hard time or stir up a memory. But if I were the only one, no song would ever be sung. So if you love it the way that I do, here's to you. To the ones in the crowd, here's to you. To the ones that dance to the radio. If you listen all alone on your headphones or right on the bare front row. If you ever sing along to a song cause you knew every word was true, then you know what it's all about, but here's to you. Put your hard-earned money in a beat-up old tip jar. When the song that the band is playing hits you right where you are. If you ever told the one you love everything you were thinking of with the words of a good old tune, but crowd, here's to you. To the ones that dance to the radio. If you listen all alone on your headphones, or right on the very front row. If you ever sang along to a song, cause you knew every word was true, then you know what it's all about, honey, here's to you. Every time you holler, boys and me, I thank God we're living out a dream. So to the ones in the crowd, here's to you. To the ones that dance to the radio. If you listen all alone on your headphones, or right on the very front row. If you ever sing along to a song, cause you knew every word was true, then you know what it's all about, buddy, here's